Hi, Suisun City. It's your city manager, Brett Prabula. Wanted to take a moment just to unpack some of the events from the January of 21st City Council meeting. You may have seen news articles, you may have watched the City Council meeting, and if you have, you know that the City Council gave me direction to explore potentially expanding our borders. I just want to take a brief moment to kind of go back in history about how we got here. So, in the 90s and early 2000s, the city of Suisun City was having real fiscal struggles. Was very high crime rates, was not a lot of development. There was a lot of blight throughout the community, and it was really in real trouble. We had some innovative leaders. One that comes to mind that led the charge was then Mayor Jim Sparing, who also became a Board of Supervisors member after that. So Mr. Sparing, who was our mayor for 20 years, really looked at a program called redevelopment that the state put out, which in short is a way for a city at the time to basically take some of the state's property tax dollar that they would typically get to invest in blighted areas of cities. Because of the systemic issues that were going on in Suisun City, Mr. Sparing was really innovative in his thought of putting the entire city under this redevelopment. It was great because it allowed him, I think, to force multiply the things that he could get done in a shorter amount of time. And that's why we have the marina. It's why we have a better invested downtown, although we're continuing to want to make improvements there. It's why, he anchored City Hall as something on, at that point in time, the other side of the track, so to speak, to show investment throughout the community. And it was a really innovative, great thought that I think would have continued to show positive movement if the state didn't pull redevelopment out from under the cities, which it did in 2011, 2012. And from that point forward, we have really struggled even as a city, even though we had this great foundation created by Mr. Sparing and those that were with him at that time. It's been difficult for us to economically grow, to grow our population, to really put the investment we need throughout our community. And so that led us to when I entered into the city in April of 2024, and we started talking about a resiliency plan, which was a multi-phased approach to get us to a level of resiliency that is decades long, not years long. We started with looking at efficiency in areas we need to add staff to do better service delivery to the community, and I think we're making great progress in that. The second piece of the stool was passing Measure S. And again, I want to thank the community for that 73% pass rate and the trust that you have in all that we are doing here. And then the third was economic development. And it was infill initially. We looked at infill and tried to think, how can we do this in the most valuable way for our community members, our tax base, bringing residents and tourism in as well as part of that, all to help grow Suisun City. As we look at that report, and we're bringing that report back to the council and all of you on March 4th, our economic strategy and implementation plan. Having seen that final draft, I know that even if we do it at the fastest and highest level, we won't reach a revenue level where I believe we will be able to sustain that level for decades to come. I know there's been some people that think when we compare ourselves to Benicia, it's apples and oranges. But when you overlay Benicia on Suisun, we have the same marina, same small downtown, same square mileage, around 4.5 square miles, same population. What I tell people is the difference is Benicia from a development standpoint is about 15 years ahead of us. So right around that time I talked about redevelopment getting pulled out by the state, Benicia continued to make progress, which allowed its education and its service delivery to continue to be increased at higher and higher levels as needed for the community. Thus, they were able to get greater levels of business development on both their industrial park and their commercial centers, as well as their downtown, which propped up their housing values, which is why we have a $28 million general fund right now, and City of Benicia is near $60 million. Now, I say that because that $32 million gap is very important. We are operating the same size city with the same issues, both around 30,000 residents, but with drastically different budgets. And it's not that there is fat or float in that Benicia budget. I was the assistant CM there. I lived there for over a decade still. I can tell you that it's really about the level of service required. And I believe our residents want a higher level of service. So because of that, we have to increase our tax base. And it's definitely not expanding our borders or infill. It's definitely infill and looking at exploring and expanding our borders potentially. And that's really what the council gave me authority to do. It's like, hey, we understand that if we do all this, probably isn't going to take us for decades to come. It'll be great, but it will have a endpoint still. So what does that look like if we were to expand our borders, and how could that take us into the decades to come? So by doing that, we are going to first reach out to our partners, as I talked about at the meeting. So LAFCO, Sewer District, County, Water, STA, our transportation agency, towards middle-ish of middle-ish of February, I will be having those conversations with those executives to get their sense about some ideas and thoughts and plans we may have of what could work, what might not work. And then I'm going to come back to City Council and have a discussion about what I heard and some options I think we should consider moving forward in the next step of this journey. The hope is that is at the March 4th City Council meeting, although it really depends on the timing of some of these conversations and next steps internally that we have to do to get prepared for that time. But in the meantime, we're going to work on getting a web page on our website up specifically around Suisun's exploration of expanding our borders. Put some of this history I just talked about on there so you understand how we got there. Look to create some public meetings around education on annexation, education in the months to come on our fiscal situation as far as a financial forecast, looking at how job needs in the region, how those have changed over the years, and how we might, through this expansion, be able to assist in that. Imagine having a very livable wage job 10 minutes away from your house, right? That we could keep our families, with more time together. We could do less commuting, give back people those hours they lose every day. And so that's really what we're trying to do here. And it's all of that is in an effort to really help and not just grow Suisun from a sense of size, but from a sense of an ability to take care of itself as the decades move forward. So this education website, I'm hoping to have up next week and start populating that with information. We'll work in the coming weeks on some of these educational meetings, might be by Zoom, just to make sure many people can attend. And we'll continue to answer questions as they come up from our residents about how the plan is going. But our hope as a city is that we are going to make sure that we're telling you everything we're doing along the way, so you can come along with us as we make this journey. So I wanted to make sure I put this out because I know, next steps, it can be a little bit of a vague thing, but I can honestly tell you there's nothing but us trying to explore how we would make this community better for generations to come, not just the generation of today, but really how does that look, as I keep saying, decades and decades to come, so we can be resilient, take care of ourselves, and provide that high level of service to all of you. So hope this helps. Again, continue asking those questions of us along the way, and we will continue to put out information that hopefully helps you have really good informed dialogue with us about this possibility. Thanks so much and have a great day.